I'm curious, because I don't think that question has ever been asked. What are black women willing to do to save the black community?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No. Okay.
Right. So
Has the question ever been posed to black women?
I will say, I think in a roundabout way, yeah, it has, and I'm still doing. I still have my Facebook. I still get out within the community. Black women aren't willing to do anything, and I keep saying because they're able to get certain types of validation and they're able to make the money. I hear for what? Like, why would I? If 40 is the new mid-age, 40 is now middle age, is considered middle age.
Always
has been.
Okay, well, if it always has been, and she's still able to go swipe right, and she's still able to go and have sex with a guy.
Let her
but guess what?
Let her finish. Y'all, calm down.
If she's able to go have sex with a guy that's even higher on the scale than her, and she gets certain needs fulfilled, I think that actually prolongs her, and she's satisfied at some point. She's still satisfied.
You know, Sister Daniel, Sister George, you're actually describing my daughter.
People to go on social media as a woman, and you can post pictures, and you can get all the validation and attention you need for whatever that time frame is, and you rinse and you repeat. When you're not able to get the attention on a certain form of social media, you go to, if you can't get it on Facebook, you go to Instagram. If you can't go to Instagram, you go to Twitter. Can't go to Twitter, you go to Snapchat. After you do that, and let's say you still didn't get enough attention, you can go to Tinder, you can go to Plenty of Fish, you can swipe right, and it's instant dick. And then she's able to have her affirmative action job, and she's still able to make a certain amount of money and drive whatever kind of car and live. She can be in debt.
Let her finish.
People act like if women are going through a certain thing that they care about these things like normal society, and that's just not the case. They don't care.
Yeah.
The clip you just heard was from Art New Styles' Friday night show, the Friday night touch-up. And I wander in and out of Art's show all the time. And if I hear something interesting, I'll jump in. If not, I'll continue to do what I'm doing. But I jumped in not just because of what Sister George was doing, or that Sister George was actually on. I jumped in because of the specific conversation about black women and the black community. And that clip was, how can I say, very revealing. It's something in your gut that you always knew. You know, a lot of things that your anima and your gut tells you, because you know something's wrong. You know, like Morpheus said, the splinter in your mind that you don't know exactly what it is. And the biggest thing that keeps the black community this way is because black women really don't tell the truth. They don't come out and just say it. Just like previous video I did like a few days ago, they don't want you. And a lot of things that go on in the black community is we're trained one way. Black men are trained one way in society to follow a role, to follow a pattern, right? Believing that society, and especially our women, are going down the same path. We're both trying to get to the same place at the same time and put in equal effort on either side, make shit happen, right? And what we're finding out slowly but surely that is not the case, which is the value of what Kevin is doing, what I did back in the day, even what the breakdown is doing. It seems like it's fruitless because it's obvious the facts on the ground, the empirical evidence tell you that it's not working. But the thing is that how do you diagnose the problem and figure out exactly why it's not working? Like say you have a old car that you've been working on for a long time, right? And it'll run enough to get you where you want to go, but it will always break down. And you always have this one little thing that you need to fix to get it back running, right? It's always this one little thing. And you keep investing money into it until one day you find out exactly what it is and figure out that the whole thing, the whole car that you've been fixing is not worth it anymore. And I think that's the value of the manosphere. Because the manosphere, more than anything, believe it or not, people say the manosphere is about a safe space, which it is, which is about a place where men can come together and talk over their issues. It's a space where men can exchange ideas. But the thing is, the manosphere is a red pill space is about the truth, the search for the truth. And I'm not saying that this is the absolute truth, but I do believe it's close enough, especially going forward, especially for the millennials and Generation Z and Generation Alpha. Like I said, point blank, what are black women willing to do to save the black community? And at first I thought Sister George, thank God that she's honest with him and her and give us this, mealy mouth excuse about the trauma that black women have been through and slavery and all the Jim Crow and all the other kind of stuff. But she didn't. She said point blank, black women are willing to do nothing to save the black community because their immediate needs are getting met. Say it again. It's because their immediate needs are getting met. All of what Kevin is going through, right, as far as the women calling in, they could care less about the black community. There's nothing that has ever been said from women calling into Kevin's show about saving the black community and making stronger families, right? It's all about their needs getting met. What do I have to trade? What do I have to do? What do I have to be to get my needs met? And what Sister George is saying is that even though they sort of give lip service to the black community and making stronger black families and getting black people's empowerment, it's all a crock of shit. If the black woman in question is getting her immediate needs met, then she's not worried about getting married. She's not worried about having a black man. She's not worried about the future of the black community. They're willing to do nothing, which is why anytime it comes to the black community and saving the black community, saving the black family, they always throw it back on you. And when I questioned her whether that question had been thrown out there, and she says she's thrown it out there in various forms, and it always comes back the same. They're not willing to do anything, especially in this modern era where they can get free attention, like 24/7 through the phone, through Snapchat, through Instagram, through Facebook, YouTube, being online, through the dating apps. Instant gratification, instant attention, which is what 80% of what women need is attention. Our women are so separated from us and separated from the goal of the black community that they're willing to do nothing to save it. They could care less whether it's saved. And that's, like she said, at some point, they're willing to die with it. As long as they can get their immediate needs met, they're willing to get old and die with it and take their chances. And what they pray to God that everything collapses and we all die together, so they don't literally die alone. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow ye shall die, right? That's what they believe in, which is extremely nihilistic, even though they claim that they're not nihilist. They're willing to do anything to get an ego boost, get an emotional boost, get that injection so they can feel good for the moment. That's how come they're obese. There's food there. It's an immediate gratification. Hell, I know it. A good plate of food, a good meal, a good sweet treat, a good drink, that immediate boost, that immediate gratification. You don't even worry about the next step, what's going to happen to your body, to your future, right? You don't worry about that because for the moment you're satisfied. So you see black men who are men that look over the horizon, because that's in our biology. That's what we're trained to do. Look over the horizon, look at our future, and look what's happening to the infrastructure and the things that are around us. We worry about it. And if we don't worry about it, if we're not working to save it, not working to fix it, we get blamed for it. But unfortunately, in a society, you can't fix the society by yourself. Men can't do it by themselves. They have to have both halves working in the same direction. And unfortunately, we don't. And that old saying, I can do bad by myself. What does that mean? If you can't enhance my life, if you can't give me immediate gratification, satisfy my immediate needs, I'm not going to be with you, which is fine. I have no problem with women saying that or anybody saying that. The thing is, be honest, because as soon as men do something else or men make a different choice, it's always white supremacy. And you're being a traitor to your race, or you're being selfish, or you're being self-centered because you're abusing women, you're living women and kids to the wolves and stuff like that. In other words, you got to be responsible. Guess what? They don't have to be. They don't have to be responsible. That's like I'm going to have kids out of wedlock, even though they have 31 forms of birth control. Because it's not about the kid. It's not about the community. It's about them. That's how come only 10% of your boys in 8th grade can read at reading level. So, if they can't, what the rest of them, on either side of the scale actually do. And that's literally from parental carelessness, parental negligence. That's the only way you can put it. If only 10% of your boys can read at reading level, and with the dumbed down schools that we have, this is not like 20, 30 years ago where you actually had to work and do your homework and actually put forth the effort because they're going to flunk you and keep you in that same grade. These are schools that really don't give a shit, really dumb down the test to the point to where it's ridiculous. And even at those low levels, black boys cannot read at reading level. So if they can't read at an 8th grade level, you know where they are. They probably got left way back in the 4th grade. And most literature in the United States is probably dumbed down to the 8th grade. So if you can't read at 8th grade reading level, really, you're not fit to be an adult. Not in this society. But guess what? We've always wondered, it's like, if they know this, they care about their boys, care about their children's future, how come they don't at least try to do something? At least go down to the PTA meetings and actually raise hell about the education standards in their own schools, right? They never go down. They don't protest the school board. You got black women on the school board that don't care. Why don't the black women on the school board don't care? Because they know the women at home don't care. That's how come they don't care if the kid has a father. They don't care. The only time black women care about whether there's a father or not in home is when that kid turns out to be not as good or not average or below average, and they point the finger at her. And she needs to someplace to shuffle the blame off to make her feel better. Black women don't care about outcomes. They care about whether they feel bad. That's all. Whether they get some attention, get some sex, get some food, and get a roof over their head by any means necessary. Once they got that, they don't care. That's how come black women left their men starting in the 60s. Once they got their needs met, they didn't care about the future of the black family or that those kids needed a father. They didn't care. We're getting our immediate needs met. And that's all I care about. And then once those kids get 18, I can boot them out of the house, especially if they're boys. They have a little bit more mercy on their girls because they don't want the girls winding up like them. So they try to give their girls a better shot. They don't care about their boys because their boys are their future. And guess what they don't care about? They don't care about their future. Their girls are their present because their girls are a direct reflection on them. So they have to take care that the girls at least maintain a decent lifestyle. Very difficult to blame the behavior of their daughter on the father that wasn't there. So with what Sister George said, and I do believe that even though we didn't have the tools to swipe left and swipe right, I do believe that sentiment, that idea, that feeling has been passed down for a very long time. Because if you think about it, it explains a lot. It explains a lot to me. It explains why after, 200 years, almost 200 years, the black community does not work. And it doesn't work because other than a day-to-day existence, black women don't care. I mean, women are loosey-goosey with their future anyway. Women are loosey-goosey. They'll spend money that they don't have. They'll put you into debt up to your eyeballs because they don't care about the future. They care about the here and now. But at least other groups do care about retirement. They do care about legacy. The vast majority of black women do not care. They do not care about the black community or its future. Or what they care about is their comfort in this society. That's what they care about, which is what Sister George so eloquently described, especially for modern single women with the smartphones, women under 35. Well, hell, any women under 45. So this is coming from a woman, believe it or not. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that will never believe what a woman says. But one thing I like about Sister George is her willingness to be candid, and sometimes brutally candid. And on this one, she was brutally candid. You're trying to save a community for women that really don't care about it. That's how come they want you to build. They don't want you to build to save the black community. They want you to build so they can be comfortable. I remember one time I was in a stream with Cynthia G, and her thing is black men should volunteer to go out and fight and die for the black community. And I mentioned, if we have to fight and die, your babies are probably not going to get fed. You and your babies probably not get fed. And it would be disrespectful and disloyal to go and cross lines so that you and your baby can eat. especially during the time if you have black men laying down their lives and getting slaughtered in this system for what we think of as black independence. And she disagreed with me that it was perfectly fine for a black woman and her children to cross the line and get fed by the system that we're supposed to be fighting. And then she asked me, what do black men expect black women and children to do if they're out fighting for our freedom? I said, just like everybody else, starve. That's a sacrifice that you have to make. And she took exception to it. And normally with other cultures, it makes sense. It makes sense to them. If your men are going to fight and die, that means you're in a war, you can't accept gifts from the enemy. But in this culture, with our women, it's perfectly fine for us to go out and fight the white man, perfectly fine for us to get slaughtered, perfectly fine for us to lay down our lives, but they shouldn't be inconvenienced or put skin in the game for them. And now, thanks to Sister George, we actually see why, because they really don't care about the black community. They are not willing to save it. They're willing to participate if it can be done, and if black men carry the lion's share of the bulk of the work to do so. Other than that, they don't care. We saw that in the 70s, okay? After the Black Power movement, after black men damn near burnt down 100 cities to get the equal opportunity gains with the jobs and the training and stuff like that, black women went behind the house, behind the shed, and cut a deal with the white woman and cut the black men out, even though it had been behooved them to actually stay together, stay intact, and those men get those jobs so that the money and the resources and the training could come into the black family and raise the standards of black people in the United States, possibly all over the world. But black women didn't. Why? Because at the end of the day, they care about their comfort. The only reason they care about the black community is so that they can get their children raised, whether they're legitimate or illegitimate, and they can keep a roof over their head and food in their belly. That's why. Other than that, once they got that met, which they did in the 70s and 80s, they jettisoned the black man, which continues to this day, as Sister George so eloquently put it, eloquently demonstrated. They're willing to sacrifice nothing to save this community. Nothing. So whether you want to save it, you don't want to save it, whether you want to be invested in it, whether you don't, whether you're in it until the wheels fall off, or if you're not going to get any cooperation, you're going to find better pastures, that's your answer. That is what we're facing. But at least you know the truth. You can make an informed decision, which is all that black men ask from black women. Tell us the truth so we can make an informed decision. But black women already know if we give them the hardcore truth, they're going to rage for a minute, they're going to be sad for a minute, but they're going to actually wind up doing something else to our detriment, which is something I would agree with. But anyway, other things to do. This one popped up and I had to get it off my chest before I forgot it. So with that, this is BGS out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.